Welcome to the Real, Raw, and Relatable podcast. I'm not your host.
It's real, raw, relatable. There's
What's
no
that?
end.
Oh, I'm finishing up now.
Oh,
You've publicly shamed me.
I have, but I have to correct you if you're going to be on this podcast as a regular segment of Ask Cat and Steve.
Okay. All right, let's zip on through
Zip,
our question.
zippity doo.
What did you like and not like about a relationship this week?
I liked the party that we had for your birthday.
I agree.
Actually, what I didn't like is that I didn't get to hang out with you much at your party because we were so busy just having fun with everyone else that I remember when I saw you, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't danced with you. And I know that we did dance together at some point. So I just missed you.
But the wedding was the same.
The wedding was the same. I know
Yeah.
we're hanging out with everyone else except except each other.
Yep.
But what I have liked is also then when we went out for Mexican, when I took you out for Mexican the day before your birthday, and then we came home and I gave you your present, which was a very heartfelt video from me and the girls,
Yeah.
and watching you shed a tear.
Yes, that was very lovely. And didn't cost anything,
Didn't
but
cost
meant
anything.
the world.
Yes. What did you
Priceless.
like? What did you enjoy about our relationship and find challenging this week?
I haven't found too much challenging. Maybe yesterday when we were a little bit short with each other.
Yeah, we're both
a
tired.
bit tired.
Mm,
Apart from that, it's been really good. Like,
mm.
I've had a fantastic week with the family and the friends and everything. It's just been really good. I love this time of year.
You do, don't you?
Yeah, obviously we're in Australia, so winter for us is the sun is out.
Yeah.
It's nice and warm. Things are winding down work wise, so we can just chill. Like, it's all very good.
Yeah.
But on to today's main event. This is the big one, ladies and gentlemen listening. This is the one that you're going to want to send to your friend. This is the one that's going to change lives of millions of people. I don't think I've oversold today's topic.
Possibly not.
Today's topic is...
Wait, we've been asked a question. It's not a topic that we're bringing up. We've literally been asked a question with Ask Cat and Steve.
Well, we've morphed that question into another topic.
Yes.
The question was, how do I find a mature man?
That was literally the question.
That was the question. How do I find a mature man? And I'm not going to answer that question today. Instead, what it got me thinking about was, how do you master meeting the right partner through the dating apps? I can't tell you how many times people have asked that question.
That's true.
I was on the apps obviously for a long time when I was single.
Yeah, you were a dating machine.
Yep,
I met one person on an app.
Right.
Tinder. Tinder was my only app that I ever used, and the rest I always just met people organically.
Right.
So this is definitely you've got way more experience in the app world.
Yes.
I also can add to this because I wish I probably applied more of what you eventually started doing. So why don't you take us through, well, firstly, why you vetted, because there was an experience that you had.
Yeah, I'm just going to share my online dating story and then explain to people how I used my business strategy mind to try and hack online dating.
And which got you closer to what mattered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not so straight 180.
No, totally not. And it might sound unromantic, but lots and lots of people over the years have said, why am I not finding my right person on the apps? How did you do it? Why do I keep having these disaster dates? And basically what I did in a previous life, before I started my various companies, one of my jobs that I did have was in corporate Australia. I ran parts of a company called Skill Group, which was a large recruitment company. And so as part of that process, our job was basically to most efficiently be able to sort through people, find the right people, apply them to a partnership, being a company, and then make that match,
and then
get paid.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, when I was single for around about 3 years from my previous relationship to us finally locking
Mm.
in our relationship,
Hmm.
and I mean it was 8 years ago, but obviously even then, like apps were very mainstream by that point. And so
Tinder was mainly the main one then, no?
there was Tinder, there was Plenty of Fish. Hinge didn't exist yet.
Plenty of Fish.
Yeah, there
I
was
never got on that.
there was I think Bumble might have just been coming, but a lot of
Bumble was when Brad and Anna,
Bumble was girls had to talk first.
which you didn't use.
I didn't use that.
No,
I
okay.
pretty much did most of my hunting on Plenty of Fish and Tinder. And
Yuck.
my my first
Don't talk like that.
my first experience of a date was that I had matched with this lady on Plenty of Fish. We chatted a tiny bit
Mm.
on or messaged.
So no voice biting?
No, it didn't
Didn't
exist. You
exist.
couldn't voice bite then.
Oh,
They
wow.
didn't attach to your socials. You couldn't do
A video?
a video call.
Okay.
It was just
Text.
messaging,
Yeah.
right? Through the apps.
So you had to believe their photos too, because if you did a live call, you couldn't see
Totally.
their face.
Correct.
All right.
Well, no, if you through the app you couldn't do that, right?
Right. Yeah.
FaceTime
Okay.
existed.
Okay. Yeah.
And you could still phone someone. Anyway,
Yeah.
so the point is I made some fundamental mistakes. So one, we chatted. Two, I locked in a dinner date. Right? This lady lived
Far away.
like about an hour on the other side of town. And I went along to this date, and basically within about 10 seconds of sitting down was like, nah.
Mm.
And I'm like, fuck me. I've
Mm.
got main, entree, whatever. And it was a no for lots of reasons. But fundamentally, all you need to know is the date was terrible.
Okay.
Right? And
So there's not a match.
I got out of there as quick as I could without letting her know that it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And as I was walking back to the car, I'm like, right, come on, Steve, we fucking need to make this more efficient so that we avoid these sort of disasters moving forward.
Can I go back a sec?
Yeah.
Because I think it's cool to know that a guy knows within 10 seconds. Because I think also too, for me when I dated, and I know we're talking heterosexually here, how did you know that it wasn't right within 10 seconds, that it wasn't a match?
Because when I was in front of her, energetically, everything felt wrong.
Okay.
I knew that this was not. And look, there were a number of reasons, and people can judge me for what they are. But the first one, well, actually, maybe when I explain my process, I'll go back to explain what I learned.
Okay.
Right. So I'm walking back to the car. I'm like, fuck, okay, we need to actually come up with a system here. And the reason that you need a system is, I feel for people who are on dating apps, who feel like that's the only way that you can meet someone. Because do you know on a dating app, if you replicated a dating app in a bar
In real life, yeah.
right, it would be hypothetically you and three other women sitting in front of me, and you walk up and you're like, hi, I'm Kat. And I'm like, hi, I'm Steve. How you going? Good. And then some other chick sits down who's hotter or has caught my eye. And you've asked me a question, and I basically then just don't write back and start talking to her right in front of you. And then I'm talking to this other person and this other person all at once. And it's
a lot, isn't it?
Well, I think the issue is that because it's not face to face, it's like keyboard warriors. You can be brutal.
Yeah.
You can unmatch someone middle of a conversation, and then they're like, what the hell? Like, that was going so well. And then I've not heard back, or they've unmatched me, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
So basically what I did, this was my little formula that I came up with. And a lot of people may do this now. And if you don't, I would strongly encourage you to do it. So
both sides, yeah.
Female to male, male to female.
Yep.
Right. So the first thing is, and the most important thing of all, is whether you're in the relationship yet or not, you can still do what we've said before in our previous podcast, which is you can tune in to the energy of what you want your relationship to feel like. Not your egoic bullshit. He's got to be 6'1". He's got to make this much money. He's got to, whatever.
I did a podcast on that. I'll actually attach it to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
to the show notes.
and vice versa. You know, if you're a guy, it's not, well, she's got to be hot and she's got to be this and she's got to be that. Like
Mm,
it's about how will I feel
mm,
when I'm with this person. Just it doesn't even, you don't even need to see the face. Just imagine the energy
yeah,
of what it feels like when you're connected in this relationship that you ultimately want.
that's what I did before I met you.
Yeah,
That's how I knew you were it.
and you hated the
I
fact that I was
fucking
it,
hated it was you.
but now you're so
I
lucky. I
know. I got
know.
you in your permanent dimple forever.
Yeah. All right. So, step one, get into this energy of the relationship, feel what that feels like. And then when you start to swipe, you don't swipe based on egoically what you see.
Mm,
You look at the person with that energy intent in mind and
mm.
say, does that feel like my person?
You often looked at their eyes, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a friend now,
Mm,
who's on the apps,
mm.
and we'll sit down after a gym session, and she'll be talking about, you know, some guy she's seeing, and I'll say, show me the photo, and as soon as I look at the guy and I
Yeah.
zoom into the eyes, like even the other day, I said he's closed, and she
Mm,
goes, "Oh my God, how did you know that?"
mm,
Well, I can tell he's just closed. He's gonna be this. He's gonna be that,
mm,
and 9 times out of 10, it's true.
mm,
Um, so that was step one. So I started swiping with the right intention behind what I was looking for. The
mm.
second thing is I made a decision that I was not gonna stay on this messaging thing
Yep.
for a long period of time.
Yep.
So I would match with someone, say, "Hi, my name's Steve, blah blah blah, what's going on, whatever." And then I would say, and I know now you can do it differently through video
Yes.
call. I would
Yeah. And
basically
voice
say,
bites.
"Hey, you know, rather than chat for, you know, a few days on here, I'd love to just have a quick conversation with you. So can I give you a call, or can we message through an app or whatever?" So now, you know, that's much easier for you guys to do because you can literally, I think, just
Yeah, you
quick
can.
video call, right?
Yeah.
When I my preference would be to FaceTime them,
Yep.
because one, you're verifying, do they look like the photos or are they
Mm-hmm.
catfishing you? And
Mm-hmm.
then two, you can feel more of the energy of the person. But even if it was a phone call, that
You could hear
that
their
5 minute
voice, feel
phone
their
call
energy.
will
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah.
so much more than meeting them
Mm.
in real life before you do it. If they can't keep you interested, or you know, if that energy and flow isn't there in
Yeah.
that 5 minutes, fucking save yourself time and
Mm.
just go, cool, not for
Do you
me.
think that's shortcutting? Do you think that's shortcutting, or do you think that is intuition? You feel it, you know it. You know what I mean?
It's about return on time,
Mm.
right? Everyone on this planet has exactly the same amount of time in a day,
Mm.
and it's about your ability to maximize what you do with your time. You know, I used to teach people sales, right?
Right.
In my jobs, in various times, I've run sales teams, and I've had lots of people, and I used to use a politically incorrect example to teach people the power of qualifying,
Mm.
right? And I'll quickly share it with you guys. So basically, what I used to say is, let's say that you got two guys, and they're both going to a nightclub,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the nightclub has 100 women in it, and the nightclub is open for 3 hours. And both of these people live half an hour away from the nightclub, right? So they both know what they want. They want a female who's single, who um, is into, I don't know, some kinky fetish, right? Let's say they're into feet, just
Yeah.
for the example. Um, and
Oh, so it's specific.
right, so they want to.
Okay.
This is effectively what their
Okay.
qualifying criteria is, right? So
Right.
they want to pick them
Got
up
it.
and go,
Yep.
right? So um, you've got 3 hours, so that's 180 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So man number one goes into the nightclub, and all he does is goes up to every single woman and says, "Hi, my name's Steve. Are you single?" If she says no, moves on because qualified out, right?
Right.
Goes to the next one, says, "Hi, are you single? Yes. Are you into feet? No." Moves on, right? So what you can see is that if it takes him 1 minute per person,
Yeah.
in 100 minutes, he can qualify the entire nightclub and go, there's only 4 people in this room that fit my criteria. He can then use his remaining 80 minutes to talk to those people in detail and understand which one is for him and then go home and
Mhm.
get his feet whatevered. Right? Now, the other guy, he goes into the nightclub, goes up to the first person he sees, doesn't qualify, goes home. Half an
Mm.
hour to get home, gets home, finds out that they're not in a feet, has to come back another half an hour. So now he's already blown 1 hour. Now he's only got 2 left. So he'll get 3 bites of the cherry if he doesn't qualify, whereas the other person has 84 minutes to work out who they would like to choose.
Mm.
This, my dear listeners, is the power of qualifying.
Mm.
So what you need to do with the apps is the same thing.
But can I just wait? Do you, like, surely you can vet and clarify with a little bit of, are you single? Do you like feet? Okay.
No,
You know
okay,
what I mean? Like, there's got
yes,
to be a bit of zhuzh.
of course there's zhuzh,
a bit of zhuzh and a
but
bit of fluff.
it's to show the power
I
of the
understand.
process.
Yeah, I understand. I'm
Right.
just being clear for
I
those who might be like, so am I literally going out there going, are you single? Do you like feet? You
no,
know what I mean?
no. So
I get it.
so if I got
I'm
on,
being funny.
so we're on step 3, right?
Yeah.
So I've got my intention.
Yep.
I've matched with someone. I've
Yep.
had a quick chat. Now
Yep.
I'm on the call. So I'll be asking questions like, oh, sorry. The other thing I also did was make a decision. It sounds simple. Make a decision about how far you're willing to travel in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like that other lady on the other side of town. That was stupid. I was never gonna. One, I was never going to move to that side of town because
Yep.
I had kids who go to school here. Number
Yep.
2, I would not want to be commuting backwards and forwards. And I know some people now be like, love rules all, love conquers all. It's like, not
for
for
you.
me.
Well, not for you.
Right?
And everyone's going to be different. Yeah.
Yes. So it might sound simple, but
Steve's like 5 kilometer radius.
correct, right?
Literally.
400 feet.
God.
No. So it might sound simple, but if you're not doing that radius thing or checking where they live before you catch up. So on the phone, I'd be like, oh, how you going? Good. So, where are you living in Melbourne? Oh, I live in Elwood. Fantastic. What, and I would ask some questions about their life and just see if it jammed. And then if it jammed on the phone, then I would go and have probably a walk or a coffee to begin with.
Okay. So you moved from dinner, which is a
long
set in
process.
time,
Yep.
to an hour walk because there's an end. Coffee's not going to take super long, so it's you're able to get to know someone, but again, you're not giving up a lot of hours.
Yeah, totally. And because the thing is, you could match with like the hottest person in the world, and the text is fine. Then you have this phone call, and you're like, oh, they're just socially awkward. It was so hard to converse. You've just saved yourself having to get dressed, do yourself up, meet them somewhere to then find that same thing out. So it sounds weird, but it's kind of like this fusion of intentional emotion mixed with brutal efficiency. Right?
Okay, so can I ask you a question? Because in this dating world, which I wasn't on the app type of thing. Were you a guy, and I didn't meet you on an app, were you a guy that had integrity if so you matched, had some texts on the app, you had a phone call, you had a date. Were you a guy that had integrity to close off
every time?
Okay.
So
please talk about that.
So if it was a no-go,
yep,
then I would message and say, thank you so much for the date.
Yep.
Had a really good time. Feel like we could be really good friends in the future, but romantically, it's a no-goer.
Okay.
I mean, it would be more eloquent than that.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, because you know how I work, I had like a note ready to like copy paste and change name. And then edit
you just took away that. You just had some shine around you then.
No, but no,
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I know you're an efficient guy.
No, it wasn't that. It was I would edit as required, but I'd come up with something that was, would let them know that I'm not going to go ahead.
Yep.
But was not brutal. Because I think that's important. Allegra at the moment is looking for a job, and she's like, it's so rude. You don't hear back from people. I'm like, it is the worst.
I know.
Even in my companies, like when we've quoted a job, for example, and then we'll follow up and say, hey, can you just let us know, like, is it a go or a no go? And you get nothing. Yeah. It's so yuck.
It is, and it's interesting, right? Because like I have people who reach out to me who want me to speak, or like what you were talking about. So they seek you out. They want a quote. They want to know all your details, and then you give them the details, and then you just don't hear back, and you're like, "Fucking come on!"
But do you follow up?
I follow up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then they still give you
still
nothing?
give nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that there is human decency, and that's what I wanted to ask you, which I do respect you for, because I think there are a lot of people out there getting ghosted, which is
It's
it
horrible.
hurts.
I've been on the end of it.
Have you?
Yeah, there was a girl that I dated, um, and we were bantering along, and then all of a sudden there was nothing.
Mm,
And then I texted her saying, hey, just checking in, nothing. And then
mm,
in the end, like I almost felt like a stalker, but I messaged her and said, hey, it just seems so unlike you. I just want
mm,
to make sure you're okay.
mm.
Totally fine if you don't want to continue to catch up. I just want to know you're okay.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, and still got nothing back.
yeah, right.
And then I was legitimately worried, but
Mm,
what do you do? Like, so yeah, ghosting is a terrible thing. Um, and I really do feel, like I said at the start, for anyone who's going through that process, because you can just
mm,
feel like you're just a number.
mm,
Um, but if you follow those tips,
mm.
uh, you will probably find you save just so many bad experiences.
Okay, I really like your. I do like your approach, and I know that a lot of people have asked you how they can date better,
Mm,
because yeah, you that's how you vetted. And I know that even before me, you dated some really nice women
mm,
that you're actually still friends with,
yes.
which is really nice. Um, and I guess what I want to say to Carol, who wrote into us about how do I find a mature man, I don't think it's maybe that's not the right question of how do I find a mature man. I certainly know for me, when I dated, I was always just pick me, pick me, pick me. I want to be loved. I want to be liked. I want to be chosen. That feeling of being chosen just felt like I was special. Like there was nothing wrong with me. And I definitely didn't do the vetting process, and I definitely didn't have the intention set. I had a list in place, um, but I was more about, do they like me? Not do I like them?
Mm-hmm.
So and it's funny because a lot of the dates that I went on, I could just intuitively sense this is a boy, not a man.
Mm-hmm.
I could intuitively sense this guy is a rat bag. Could just feel it and ended up being a rat bag. Could intuitively sense and just could observe that the way that this person was speaking to the wait staff, I observed behavior that I didn't like. But where I was at in my dating time, like I said, being chosen was the better thing. So I had to do some work. And I don't know, Carol, if you've done work on yourself, whether you are doing work on yourself. And a lot of people are like, oh, but I've done everything. I've healed my past. I've looked at my past. I read the books. I do the this and I do the that. All I know is that I eventually I wanted to find someone like you. I wanted to find someone like Steve, that I could be met mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Right? I wanted to be met there. And can I tell you, Carol, when you meet that person that can meet you, it is fucking frightening.
Mm,
It's frightening, which is why I think that Steve was friend zoned for such a long time. And when I had been doing my meditations for probably a year and a bit, and I had stopped dating. I just wanted a break from dating because the last guy that I dated was just, he actually asked me out and he said, I want you to be my girlfriend because I think you'll make me a better person. And I'm like, oh my God, go fuck yourself. I actually laughed. I laughed. I laughed. I laughed when he asked me. And he's like, that's not very nice. I'm like, well, see you later, alligator. And so I took a big break from dating. And I was doing this meditation that was exactly what you're talking about, going into the energy of what the relationship felt like, not what the person looked like or anything like that. And um, yeah, then I would always ask, which is something that Steve and I talk about a lot, what's my next best step here? What's my next best step? And for me, it was about really just loving the shit out of myself, really loving the shit out of myself as I am, not needing to fix myself, not needing to think that if I do this, then I'll be better for when someone finally chooses me. It was, I got to love me for me. And I got to do things for me that are really good, that are really great, and get myself into a great rhythm and not think that that will all happen when someone loves me. Right. So that was my next best step, which is an amazing next best step. And I was friends with Steve that whole time, couldn't see him as the person until one day there was an energetic match. Like Steve, you were talking about when you would go on dates, there was a match from the intention that you had set. And I wanted to run, my ego wanted to run for the hills. And in fact, it did. In fact, it did. Because meeting someone who can meet you, in your words, Carole, a mature person, fuck.
Mm.
The conversations that you think you can have, fuck, you got to have them. The grumbling of emotions that take place inside of you where you want to voice something, but your old stuff comes back and says, no, if you voice something, you're going to lose them. No, if you speak your truth, you're not going to be easy breezy, beautiful cover girl kind of chick. You know, if you disagree with what you want to have for dinner, they're going to think that you're you're a drainer, and then they're going to break up with you. All the stuff comes up and it comes back, but with a mature person who can meet you, they're willing to have the conversations and then move the fuck on, which means there's a lot of work that needs to be done. One, on yourself, yes, beforehand, but then as you go, as you meet this mature person, because I swear to goodness, a lot of your old stuff is going to flare up and probably try and fuck with it. So, get yourself, prime yourself, get yourself ready. Get yourself as ready as you can, meaning do work on yourself. Continue to do work on yourself. Continue to love yourself as you are. Continue to look at wounds, etc., that need to be looked at. Continue to speak uncomfortable truth so that when you meet that mature person, you're going to have to get ready to do that. You know. So that's what I would like to say to that.
Yeah. Look, that's a tricky question. How do I meet a mature man? I mean,
It was, how do I find a
how
mature
do I
man? And I
find a
don't think
mature
it, and I
man?
think it's not find. I think it's you attract it in.
Yeah. It's
You
also,
know.
but it's also, definition. Like, I'm a very immature person. Like, I'm a fucking
You're a
child,
child, yeah,
right?
yeah. You're
Yeah,
childlike,
I'm childlike,
yeah,
but I'm solid as a rock when it
yeah,
comes to being in a
yeah,
relationship. So, um, that's why I say, like, why I pick phones up and look at the eyes. Like, it's,
yeah.
you can see behind the eyes what's
Mm,
going on.
mm.
I'm not saying that you should suddenly start just going, oh,
Staring.
he has good eyes, he must be mature. um but I guess it comes down to the short answer is,
Mm,
one, it's a numbers game, right?
mm.
So how do you catch a good fish? Put more lines in the water. So
So put
are you
yourself
putting
out there.
yourself out there?
Yeah,
The second thing that I would say, and it might be controversial, and I'm speaking heterosexually now because I'm into females,
yeah,
is I get it that from my experience with females when I was dating, and also females now who are dating, you're so fucking jaded. You're so over the fact that there's like crap
mm,
men out there and they let you
mm,
down and all that sort of stuff.
mm.
So you're in this little conundrum where you have to put yourself put yourself out there openly, whilst meanwhile going in completely jaded,
Yeah.
back up, defensive. I remember I used to swipe through profiles, and the profiles would come up and it'd be like, "Don't contact me if you're," and I'm like, "Wow, that's
Mm.
not the most open thing in the world, is it?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Leading with a guarded heart.
yeah, it's like,
Mm,
you're already telling me what you don't want. How about we start with what you do want? So I
mm,
understand that conundrum, but put yourself out there with openness, with that intention, and
mm,
have way more of those conversations.
mm.
Um, there are good, I always say to people who say, "Oh, there's only shit men on the internet," and I'm like, I was on the dating apps,
Yeah.
and I'm not a shit guy.
Yeah.
It happened to be that my life, timing wise, at 40, saw me being single. There's
Yeah.
lots of good people out there who are circumstantially on those apps and are legitimately there
Mm.
with good intentions, looking for good people. Um, but everyone's got a story, everyone's got a wound,
Yeah.
and finding a solid person who can move beyond those wounds is
Mm.
where I think you find the gold.
Mm.
How to do that? Well, that's the trick.
And
But
it's not only, I guess, apps where people can find people.
no, of
People can
course,
join groups, and you can join
100%.
a walking club, a run club,
Yes.
or a, I don't know, painting
Yeah,
class or
it doesn't matter.
whatever.
It doesn't matter what the method is.
Yeah.
Even if it's a face-to-face interaction, it's still the same thing.
Mm.
Go in knowing what you're looking for intentionally. Ask relevant questions. Don't
Mm.
waste your time, but be open.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I would say to you, Carol, is look at the way you're also showing up. I certainly know that the way that I showed up on dates previously, at first in the beginning, I would show up, you know, asking them a million questions, never wanting to pull the attention onto me, and was just about them, 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 and it was very agreeable. And then when I became jaded and guarded around my heart, I then presented myself as Little Miss Independent, which is what I write about a lot in my book. And so I came to the dates guarded, as if like, I don't need you.
Hmm.
But I like desperately was like, oh my God, someone please love me.
Yeah,
You know,
and you're testing, and like there's all these dynamics
Exactly,
going on.
exactly. So you want to look at how you are showing up. Are you showing up like, is this person a mature man or not? Because people can feel that. People can feel that. If you show up as you, as open, as settled in your boots, you will very quickly see, okay, this person, we're not gelling, we're not jamming. But if you're going in guarded, or if you're going in needy, which are the two opposing, ends of the spectrum, then you're not going to be able to see very clearly, right? You're not going to be able to
No,
feel very
you
clearly.
want to go in authentic. And if you want to
Amen.
know how to be authentic, I happen to know someone who's written a book on the topic that you can get
You're
from
married to
Amazon, and
her.
you can get it on Audible, and you can get it from all the
All the good bookstores.
major bookstores. So
This is
that's
true.
100% some advice. If
This
you
is
haven't
true.
read Kat's book,
And I talk about that. I talk about the way that I dated.
mm,
Um,
yeah, you
I
like fully go deep dive into
do.
this stuff. So
Yeah.
there's your answer.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, But I reckon we've summed it up. So we've answered two questions today. We've
Mm,
answered how to find a mature man, and we've
mm.
answered, well, given the golden secret
Vetting
recipe
process.
to working with online dating apps. And if you have
Mm.
any follow-up questions in
Yeah.
relation to that specific topic,
Love to
send
hear
them
from you.
through the email or the DM or whatever,
Yeah.
and we're happy to chat about them.
Amen.
Until next time.
Thanks, my love.